Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and welcome to another remake here. I believe this is the third of the 7 remakes we need to make here. And today it's Fall Cybertron Grimlock versus MonsterVerse Mechagodzilla. So without further ado, let's begin. So this version of Mechagodzilla was created to basically, fight against Godzilla on the better behalf of humanity. However, using Ghidorah's consciousness, they ran into a little bit of issues after installing some Hollow Earth energy. Now, Mechagodzilla came out and it was a terror, an absolute menace to society. However, he was fighting against a weakened Godzilla and a weakened Kong. A Godzilla that was actually straining himself and running around the world because this Mechagodzilla that he was sensing the entire time was actually him sensing Ghidorah. And Godzilla was on full panic mode during that entire encounter and wasn't really trying to have a whole nother incident with Ghidorah. However, Mechagodzilla has shown some decent feats here. He was able to restrain a skull crawler, which was bigger than Ramarak, the one from Skull Island. Yeah, so he's got some decent, strength feats and stuff. He was able to ragdoll a tired and weakened Godzilla and being able to slam around a Kong who just recovered from his beating from, Godzilla and stuff, though. So, but again, these guys are weakened. Now, if we do scale him to the weakened versions of Godzilla and Kong, Godzilla has done a lot of things while, he was weakened. In the comic Godzilla, I think it was Godzilla Kingdom or Godzilla. It was the sequel to the King of the Monsters comic, where Godzilla was going around solving all these issues with the Titans here. So Mechagodzilla should be able to scale somewhat above monsters like Scylla, Behemoth, and Amalok, to which Godzilla was throwing these guys around like they were absolute nothing. Now, Mechagodzilla has a plethora, and I mean a plethora of tech here, with him having missiles, a photon screen, him having actually saw-bladed claws, a tail which has a drill at the end of it, and jet boosters. And he was also supposed to have some subaquatic or amphibious-like nature to him, so he could easily fight Godzilla underwater. But anyway, that's going to conclude Mechagodzilla here. So let's move on to Fall of Cybertron Grimlock. Grimlock in this story was a former gladiator in the pits of Kaon that was actually neutral in the Autobot and Decepticon war. However, after being bested by Ironhide due to his overconfidence, Grimlock later became the best of the Autobots, even becoming the head of security and one of Optimus Prime's few lieutenants. He was actually in charge of holding the front lines and battling against the Decepticons so that they couldn't even get into Iacon. Keep in mind, this included everything the Decepticon army had, including characters like Megatron, Soundwave, Shockwave himself, and Bruticus and Devastator. So Grimlock and his team were able to take on Combiners and even the leader of the Decepticon himself, because Megatron actually couldn't get through the the front lines because of Grimlock and his team and his coordination. He was just absolutely devastating with it. Now, after he got his Dinobot genes, or, became a Dinobot due to the combination of both Predacon and dinosaur DNA here, Grimlock became one of the most dominant forces in the aligned continuity. He's so strong that he could actually one-shot Predacons like Backbite, who was above characters like Ultra Magnus, and being able to ragdoll his fellow Dinobots, which scale to the other Predacons. Keep in mind, Predacons like Skylynx and Darksteel, which will actually be like the lower tier Predacons, in the same league as characters like Backbite and maybe Serket. We know Serket is actually a lot higher than, as these guys here, are able to compete and absolutely slam around characters like Ultra Magnus. Even though Ultra Magnus did get a slight upper hand on Skylynx due to his years of experience and with him being able to, fight against Predaking to a degree here. And this is important here with the whole Megatron scaling as well, because Megatron actually has a universal level feat here. Now, this is because of the whole align continuity thing. I know it's absolutely ridiculous how they couldn't even figure themselves out with how to make this a franchise, and it would have been so good. They had the material for it. But anyway, Megatron's durability could scale from Universal Plus to Multiversal, with, if you really want to highball it, you could say Outerversal as well, with Megatron scaling, to the Matrix here, and being able to survive an impact from the Matrix hitting him full force, which sent the Dark Spark actually flying through the Transformers multiverse, or Omniverse, if you will. Grimlock as well was supposed to fight Bruticus in the game, but that was unfortunately cut from the game. However, we are going to count it here as it was in the promotional material and was the original writing for the game. Like, I don't get why they changed that here. Bruticus is someone who would actually scale to characters like Ultra Magnus and Jazz here, if you not just a little bit above them. Even though Optimus Prime, Jazz, and Sideswipe were able to rip him apart and actually devastate him. Funny, right? But again, Grimlock would still scale to the Combiners and stuff because he was able to defeat Devastator in the Align novels as well. Plus, again, if he scales to Optimus, Jazz, and Sideswipe in his pre-Dinobot form, then yeah, I think it's pretty simple for him to take down a Combiner if those three could do it. Right? He also has a plethora of abilities thanks to his Dinobot genetics. He has a healing factor, being able to pretty much be healed from pretty much having his body ripped apart by Shockwave over and over and over again, even repairing his visor, which, believe it or not, is not fully a part of his body. It is, but it's not like a permanent part. He actually has it as a mask here. He also has an Energon sword and shield, which actually can cut on a molecular level. They're actually like, Fall of Cybertron has like weapons that actually cut on such a level. You could even say they split things like ion particles, which are some of the smaller particles known to man. As for his speed, he was scaled to faster than light, as there's a weapon known as the photon rifle, which characters, or at least drones like the Shotgunner, could easily dodge and react to. And Grimlock is easily able to grab these guys and just slam them or throw them with ease here. So Grimlock would easily be planetary or universal, if you guys want to get into that. And then you have the multiversal to outerversal scaling if you also want to get into that. So yeah, let's really keep it short and simple here. I think it's pretty clear here that Fall of Cybertron Grimlock, or the Align Continuity Grimlock, just dog walks here. You might say, oh, well, you're not using Robots in Disguise. Well, I count that as an alternate timeline because they changed so much about it that the comic itself is just counting its, as the original timeline, while Robots in Disguise to me is just simply an alternate timeline altogether. And plus, scaling to a weakened MonsterVerse Godzilla is not very, how should I say? It's not a good look for Mechagodzilla here. I mean, Godzilla at full strength was confirmed that, yeah, it would have been a tough fight, but he would have still won it. So you mean to tell me, despite him having the Hollow Earth energy and all these anti-Godzilla weapons, which were confirmed that, it couldn't work on him. Like, the only way that Mechagodzilla would have killed him is by pouring the photon scream down his throat here. And you mean to tell me that that's just not gonna work on the outer layers of Godzilla? Yeah, that's not at all remotely applicable. Not applicable or remotely even impressive, I mean. And then you have Cybertronian beasts, who are some of the strongest of the Cybertronian factions here. They're literally like the dinosaurs or the lions and tigers of Transformers here. And then you have the sheer fact that some of the higher ranking members like Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime here are able to go toe to toe with him. Keep in mind the Predacons have actually a self-regenerating metal, with Predaking actually being able to heal himself from Megatron's fusion cannon, at point blank range as well. And even being unaffected by Wheeljack's swords just piercing through him and ripped him out. And we later don't see the wounds here. Grimlock, when he got his CNA injection of both Predacon and Dinobot DNA or dinosaur DNA mixed, was able to regenerate instantly. Meaning that despite whatever Mechagodzilla could do, which I really don't think he would be able to damage him just because the tier gap is just so much, that means that even if we say the lower end is planetary for both sides, Grimlock has a higher regenerative factor, and Mechagodzilla is made out of titanium. That's fodder when it comes to, I guess you could say, kaiju in general. I mean, titanium, in all honesty, has just been fodder for Godzilla monsters for years. Like, I'm not saying Zilla Jr. is weak or anything, but Zilla Jr. has been able to bite through it like it's nothing. And it's just fodder here. Even the Transformers titanium is fodder. It's not even considered one of the strongest metals in their Omniverse. But anyway, you guys, Grimlock takes this, I would have to say, low difficulty. His sword's going to cut through Mechagodzilla like a hot knife through butter. He's slicing off a leg, then he's going for the spine, and then he's aiming for the head. That's going to be all today, you guys. Please comment down below. Like and subscribe and share it with your friends, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.